What's up, guys? Happy Halloween. Back with another video. It's been a few days. It's been a real busy week. Um, After the Foxwood show, been just grinding at the day job, doing a lot of estimates, finishing up a couple jobs, getting some new jobs done, all sorts of stuff. Just been busy. But we're back. And yeah, no show this weekend. Gonna enjoy some time with the wife and with friends and fam. And next weekend, though, Sunday, the Wicked Cod show in Boston. That's gonna be a fun one. Looking forward to it. And then Black Friday weekend coming up, and that's gonna be a sweet show back at the Lee Outlets. Looking forward to that one. Today, kind of piggybacking off our last car ride rant video, we're going to talk a little bit about, I think a lot of people are talking about it, and that's, if this market is a bubble, if this market is at a peak, then what should you be doing? Should you get out of the market? Should you sell everything off? Should you, there's a lot of questions that come with thinking that the market is at a peak or in a bubble. And so I think we should, maybe explore the things to think about if that is the case, which, if you watch the last video, I don't really think it is, but we should all be prepared for the worst case scenario too. The past couple weeks, past month maybe, there's been like some pretty decent drawbacks in the market. A lot of things are, they hit an all-time high recently. A lot of those things hit double or triple the prices of what they were just a few months ago. And so off of those all-time highs, we've had a little bit of drawback and, a downswing in some pricing for sealed product, for slabs, for all sorts of stuff. Now, a lot of people are saying crash incoming, it's all over, pack it up and go home, whatever. I'm not that pessimistic, but you should be considering these things, and I don't think it's unreasonable to be hedging your bets in a market with this much rapid, like, upward movement in pricing. Because if something doubles or triples in a very short time frame, you are very likely going to come back off of that high, price-wise. Things don't go up forever. That would make investing really easy. If things just went up forever, there was never any downturns in price, there would be no unsuccessful investors, and it would be silly not to be an investor, and there'd be really no downside of investing. So you just load up your investments and watch your money pile grow. That would be easy. But it doesn't work like that. There's a lot of other things going on. And one of those things is that consumer sentiment shift. They change all the time, and people's priorities shift and change all the time. And how I see that playing out in the market, at least right now, and at least for probably the next few months, is on the one side, the holidays are good for sales because there's a lot of kids and adults too that love this hobby, and so somebody in their life is likely to make a purchase for them for the holidays. That's, you know, that is a good thing for the market. But the other part of that is a lot of people have a lot of money to spend over the holidays. A lot of people have travel arrangements to make, have obligations, have whatever going on that requires money that can't be put into, say you're a dad and you've got kids and they might be sort of into Pokemon, but if you're also a collector, you might be normally spending higher dollar values on your collection than on your kids' collection. And if your collection spending goes down because you're focused on gifts and whatever, then your spending is going to go down in the hobby. So I think that's probably, a likely thing. During the holidays, the market tends to cool down a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that in the next couple months, especially just because we've seen all these all-time highs. We've seen this doubling and tripling of price in a lot of areas, and it makes perfect sense that things are going to cool down. That's a sign of a healthy market, not a crash incoming. The longer things were to go up, exponentially and with no drawbacks or flattening in price at any point, that would be more signifying of a crash than, rise and fall in price. Rise and fall in price is totally natural, totally normal. That's what markets do. So, one thing that I think people should think about, though, even though I'm not super pessimistic, I think this bull run still has room to go. I think there's a lot of tailwinds that are going to continue to push this market forward in the next year, at least. There's the Pocket app that seemed to drive some growth. There's all the new sets that people really love. The second half of Scarlet and Violet was just great set after great set, really. And now we're in the Mega Block, and sentiments for that are very positive in my experience at shows. But regardless of all that, and also just one other thing is Legends ZA just came out, the new game for Switch, and so you're gonna have new Pokemon coming to the card game and new arts and all sorts of stuff. So I think that's all positive activity and tailwinds for the card market. But regardless of all that, you should have a plan in case the market does change, sentiments do change, and the bull run will not last forever. There will be most likely an extended period of, at best, prices flattening out and kind of just bouncing around at the same levels, or at worst, a significant drawback. And if something doubles in price and then it drops by 20-30%, that's markets. That happens. It's totally within the realm of possibility, even in an environment like this. It could happen. So you should have a plan for what to do and how to minimize your exposure to risk, especially those of us that are vending, because vending is a more risk-heavy collectible strategy than, say, just accumulating sealed product over time and dollar cost averaging sealed product. That's like pending some unknowable disaster, some unknowable thing happening that's like a global, big problem. Pending something like that, buying sealed product slowly and steadily and dollar cost averaging your way into sealed boxes is very low risk and pretty high reward. It's a pretty stable, over a long time horizon, it's a very stable strategy. And I think Pokemon has just shown that. I think if you pick any booster box, pretty much, aside from, a few losers, but that's why you spread. You don't put all your eggs into one set. You have to diversify across a bunch of sets because, it's hard to pick winners and losers sometimes. But in the vending space, it's much different. You have inventory. You're trying to churn and burn through inventory and maintain your margins and maintain your sales level or grow your sales level. And so it's kind of a different thing. If I'm sure if you vended for any amount of time, you've had one of those weekends where it's Friday night and the show's tomorrow and you're repricing everything and stuff you bought a week, 2 weeks, a month ago, you bought it at 80, 70% sometimes. And it's like, oh, well, that's a sweet deal. But if the market's down on that card 20, 30, 40%, which does happen, it's kind of, it doesn't feel good lowering all those price stickers because the market tends to trend down together. The trends tend to affect the market at large. And so when you're having one of those weekends where you start pricing cards and a lot of them are down, you're going to go through your whole binder and your whole case and your whole stack of slabs, and a lot of stuff's going to go down. And so it's kind of a different game. And there's ways to avoid that, destroying your business. And just in case there is significant market downturns over the next, period of months, some things I think we should all be thinking about is, first of all, add to your cash reserves. If the market is going to take a downturn, you want to have enough cash to make purchases. And because that's how that's how you get in at a better price point. You want to be buying the dip as it's dipping. If you've been part of crypto or Bitcoin or stocks, this is common investment advice. I'm not giving you investment advice, of course, but that's common investing advice. You buy the dip. When prices drop down, that's a signal. Hey, people are offloading this. Unless something fundamental has changed about whatever asset you're looking at, that's a good buying opportunity. You're getting it at a discount just because something shifted in sentiment or situation for the people selling. And on a long enough time horizon, the more times you can buy at a better price, the better you'll do on appreciation. That's pretty simple math. So having cash reserves as a vendor and increasing your cash reserves, the higher volatility there is in the market, is just good, solid strategy, and that's something I'm presently thinking about, having a little bit more cash reserves, and being a little more stingy with them unless I see really good buying opportunities or there's a big significant dip. So that's one thing to think about. Another thing that I think would be a good idea for more people to think about is that some stuff you will not mind having in your collection for a long time, and other things you might want to get out of if you're going to be stuck with them for a long time. Some things that I would want to be stuck with, I'd prefer to be stuck with for years, let's say, is sealed product. I'd rather have sealed product because the significant downside to sealed product is typically takes up a bunch of room compared to singles and slabs. The upside is there's a very limited supply of it, and there's it's typically a more stable thing to have your money tied up in if there's going to be downturns, you know. And over a long time horizon, you'll almost always do well on holding sealed product for a long time. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. I'm trying to source good deals on sealed product right now, and not all for keeping, you know, it's all still for resale for now. Oh, most of it, not all of it, but you know, just think about what kind of stuff you'd prefer to hold on to and what stuff you'd like to not have to hold on to if things go sideways for a long time, if they trend, you know, if the bull market doesn't last forever, what do you want to hold on to for a long time? What would you prefer to have as an investment instead of a flippable item? So that's another thing to think about. And I think for vendors especially, we should be thinking about these things. I think as collectors, you know, do what makes you happy, and as long as you've got your bills paid and all your expenses and whatever else, I mean, yeah, buy what you like. But for vendors and people that treat this as a business, you know, you should be thinking about sort of what your inventory is, what kind of stuff, if there is a downturn that you wouldn't mind holding on to. And one other thing that I think vendors should think about, just, you know, as it pertains to risk and all that sort of stuff, is, you know, vending is fun and you can make pretty good money doing it. But this market won't be around forever. And if your main full-time hustle is vending, it's kind of a risky place to be in this current environment, I think. You know, bigger vendors, people that are also like content creators, like Jar Chomp, Bulbasaur, I don't know, Arvin, those kind of guys. It's like they have multiple businesses going on besides vending. You know, vending is happening, but they're also streaming on live auction platforms. They're content creating. They're making revenue off YouTube and Patreon or membership subscription type deals. So they have kind of like a diversified business model. But if your main business model is just going to shows and hoping that people are going to be there, and you know, hoping that price levels maintain at least enough for you to make your margins and stuff, I think this is kind of a risky market to be in right now. I think prices are elevated, and I don't know, you know, 2 years from now, a lot of these prices might seem like bargains. But in the short term, even if you're buying stuff at 70 or 80%, much less if you're one of those guys that buys really high, I see people at these shows that are buying for 85, 90%, and in most cases, I'm not sure that's a great idea in this current market. Um, just because the volatility is so high. You don't know what things are going to do over a week or month span. But regardless, so if this is your full time, I think that is risky, and you should acknowledge it and have backup plans. And, if I was doing this full time, I'd be a little concerned. I do think the card show thing is going to continue, but there will be, just like the market in general, peaks, valleys, ups, downs, rises in price, drawbacks, and you're not in control of those at all. So just having different ways to make money is always good. And I think as this market continues to grow, or continues to, all the prices continue to appreciate, just be aware that in a healthy market there's going to be rises in price, falls in price. Where you buy into things really does matter, because the faster things rise in price, the much easier that the bottom can drop out on them. So these are all things to be aware of. And just have fun investing, collecting, vending. Vending's a blast, but have a job too, or at least be setting yourself up to have other ways to sell, your stuff. I don't know. Just nothing's guaranteed. That's what risk is. And this hobby is risky. Vending is risky. Investing in stocks is risky. Putting your money in crypto is risky. But as I've said before, holding your money in cash is guaranteed downside. You want some cash for buying opportunities, but tying up all your money in cash, not a good idea either. So choose your adventure, be aware of the risks, and have fun while the getting's good, because it is good right now. And like I said, I'm not super pessimistic on the market. I think there's going to be upswings, downswings, drawbacks, and all of that. But enjoy it while it's good. And it's good now. The new sets look awesome. Everything's still hype. But be aware. The other thing that last thing I'll say here, because I said, buying sealed product, accumulating sealed product, solid strategy. One thing you really should think about, I think, and I've kind of noticed this lately, is that don't be too cocky about picking winners and losers. The entire Scarlet and Violet era, I don't think the winners and losers have been picked yet. People think that they have. I don't think so. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. If you're a vendor, or you're just in the space, or even if you're just a collector, how have you seen over the last month or two, maybe 3, how have sentiments around prismatic evolutions changed? When that set released, and for 2 months afterwards, sentiments, the hype was crazy. People would pay anything for ETBs. People would pay anything for booster bundles. They were flying. I couldn't keep them. I couldn't buy them. I couldn't rebuy them. I've noticed, at least, and I think the singles tell the price of this too, that sentiments on that set are not what they were. You know, people kind of got burnt out by that set. And there's still people that are into it for sure, but I think broadly sentiment has changed on it. And I think 6 months ago, people would have said, oh, this is the second best set of Scarlet and Violet right behind 151. Full stop. I don't think people feel that way anymore. I don't feel that way. So just be humble about your ability to pick winners and losers. I don't think any of us understands fully the mind of the consumer. And that's why it's a good idea, if you are going to start accumulating sealed product and holding it long term, don't be confident that you know which sets are going to win long term, which ones are going to be the Evolving Skies, the Lost Origins, the Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike, nobody cared about for a long time. So just be aware, you know, sentiments change over time, and you're not at all in control of that. So I guess that's the video for today, guys. I'm about to go replace some doors for a buddy, and got a Halloween party to go to later tonight, and gonna have a good weekend. So probably not too much video action over the weekend, but I'll probably get back to it next week. And hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Happy Halloween. Later.